Namo Namaha, welcome back. Believe it or not, we've now made it through the majority of topics around the Devanāgarī script, except for one more kind of important and complicated topic that's remaining. So what do we know so far? We should now be able to read and write the vowels in their independent forms. Here they are. See if we recognize them. A, I, U, R, L, A, O, O. Right? Next, you should be able now to read and also write all of the consonants when they appear by themselves, basically with the letter attached to them. So you should be able to read and produce g, k, g, g, ng, and so on and so forth. Right? Don't worry if you don't get all of them yet. They'll start getting more and more familiar as you read more and more words. You might forget a few here and there. That's fine. Make yourself a nice syllabary chart, a big sheet of paper, stick it on your wall, make flashcards, practice on your downtime. And I'm confident that really in only about 2 weeks, you'll be able to master Devanāgarī script. For sure, no doubt about it. Trust me. Then in our last segment we just finished, we studied a kind of second level situation. What happens when consonants are followed by vowels and the vowels are changed into their matra forms. These happen in these CV-shaped syllables. Now you should be able to therefore read and write k, ka, ki, ku, ku, kr, kr, klr, ge, gai, go, gau, gum, and kaha as well. Remember, the last two are the anuswara, the nasalized vowel symbol, and the last one is the visarga, the H echo of the previous vowel. One other minor thing that we can add to this is that instead of periods like Western languages, Sanskrit uses a vertical bar called a danda, which literally means staff or stick as a full stop. So at the end of every sentence, you should put a danda. And when you see a danda, it's the end of a sentence usually. The bigger thing that's left over now is what happens when you have a consonant that's stuck together with another consonant without a vowel in between. These are called the consonant clusters or conjuncts. Sanskrit, these are called sanyukta. Sanyukta aksharahas, sanyukta vyanjanani. A lot of them are fairly idiosyncratic. Basically, it's kind of pointless to learn every single one. There's many of them, and you'll recognize, you might get, first time you see them, you might not be able to read them, but the second or third time you should be able to recognize them. But some of them are kind of systematic, and so in this video, what I thought we could do is to go over a few of the more systematic cases of how conjuncts are joined together, just to get us started. Again, on the UBC Sanskrit site, we have a tool that allows you to create any conjunct you can imagine, and it'll show it to you. You can smash together any consonants you want to. It's kind of fun. It's pretty cool. Check it out. Now, how do conjuncts get made? The first case I want to look at is a kind of general method. If you don't know how to do it, this is the default method. You can take a consonant C1, and let's say you want to combine it with a consonant C2 with no vowel in between. What you do is you use the virama symbol we learned about last time, and you put it beneath C1 that chops off its vowel, and then you write C2. So if you wanted to write the k plus the p, and you didn't know how to do that, you would just put a virama underneath the k, making it just ik, and then you add your p, and you get kpa. There you go. You can add any matras to that cluster. You can have now kpa, kpi, kpi, kpru, and so on. Kpe. Incidentally, the short vertical bar in theory should go to the left of that first ka consonant and connect to the vertical of the second consonant. In print, probably it's hard to say. You might see it connecting just to the first consonant because of the limitations of the font. It's really, like it's unlikely that you'll get a full connecting loop. Now, that's the default way. That's the way you would write C1, C2, is to put a virama underneath C1 if you don't know how they glue together. Most of the time, however, there's going to be something that happens to either the first one, C1, or C2, or sometimes both. First case that can happen is that part of the first consonant gets chopped off to create a half consonant, to create a half letter, basically, and then it's stuck to the second letter. Second case could be that the two consonants get stacked one on top of each other, where C1 is put on top of C2. Then the third is a special situation which involves the letter R, the rakara, which does weird things when it comes before and when it comes after another consonant. So that's kind of confusing. That's a lot of different cases. I'm sorry. But trust me, it'll be a matter of just seeing them a few times, and then you'll be able to pick up the clusters with no problem. In 2 weeks, you'll be able to master many, many different clusters. I guarantee it. So let's look at these three cases one at a time. The first case is quite frequent. I would say it's the most of the time you'll see this. And it happens when the first consonant, the C1 consonant, has any prominent vertical bar on the right side. So for example, the letter G has that big long vertical bar. When you smash the G together with the consonant V, you're going to get Gva. And that vertical bar on the right gets dropped from the G. Gda, here's another example. G plus D, Gda. Some other letters that work this way are K. K has the vertical on the right. You drop that to get Kya. K plus Ya, Kya. G, here's Gna. Or Ch, here's the very common Ch, which is Ch plus Ch. You're going to see that many, many different places. There's also J. Here's Jwa, for example. J plus Wa. The dental Th also works like this. You can drop the right side vertical. There's Th plus Ya, Tia. There's also Th plus Ya, Tia. Same thing. Dha, you have a vertical. You drop that when you smash it with your Va again to get Dwa. In terms of labials, the P sometimes combines this way, where you have P plus T. You can drop the vertical on the P and then make it Pta. Or there's also Pna, or there's Pa with a P doubles with the P. Pa. B also does it. You drop the vertical. Here's B plus Dha, Bdha. Or B plus La, Bala. Right? B also can drop that right vertical bar. When you're combining with Ya, you get Bya. You'll write that quite a bit in a few weeks. Ma does the same thing. Here's the word Amba, for example, which means mother. Nice word to remember. Amba. In the semi-vowels, Ya and Va also do the same kind of things. So when you get Ya plus Ya, a double Ya, Ya, you drop the right side vertical bar. Wa plus Ya does the same thing. You will drop the right side vertical of the Wa. Vya. La also does it in the case of La plus Ba. You'll drop the vertical bar and you'll attach your heart shape of your La to the Ba, and you get Lpa and Alpa, a few. All of the sibilants will also work the same way. The sh palatal, you'll drop the right side vertical and combine with the next character. The trick with the palatal sh is that there's an alternate form of the palatal sh that'll appear. That's a loop that goes upward, breaks the plane on the top line, and connects. So when sh is combined with wa, for example, this alternate sh, this little loop up top, gets used as the half letter sh, shwa. There's also something you have to kind of learn by seeing it. I will encourage you to learn to read it instead of learn to make it. It'll stump you a few times, but eventually you'll get it. One very important one we'll see in a second is shri, has the sh plus a thing for ra. We'll get to that in a minute. The next one, sh, also has a half letter form, the retroflex, which combines with pa, for example, to get shpa. Sh plus p. Sh plus n becomes shna, for example. Half sh and then n. S can also become a half letter. You drop the right vertical bar when in conjuncts, like the very common s plus y, sia, or the very common s plus th, stha. Speaking of ya, we can also point out some situations when ya is the second letter in the cluster. Sometimes the ya gets transformed. When it's the C2, the top of the ya will dip down to kind of connect with the first consonant. So for example, when you get the retroflex t or da, and then you add the ya will dip down. Same thing happens with, so you get tia or dia. Same thing happens with chia. Same thing, right? So this is the case one where the first consonant turns into a half letter, smashes on its second one. Sometimes the second one will get manipulated. Case two is when they get stacked. The first letter is going to be stacked on top of the second letter. This is often the case in our doubling of consonants. So for example, when you have g plus g, you get ikka, and the k is on top of the k. When you get ch plus ch, you're going to have the two ch's that are stacked on top of each other. Double n looks like this. N plus n. L plus l, double l, stacked one on top of each other. When you have n as the second consonant, this will often cause a stacking because the n will slide kind of underneath the first one to turn into a stack. So n, for it looks like this, d plus n. G plus n, here's gna. D plus n, here's gna. B plus n, bna. Right? L is the second consonant, will also slide underneath as in b plus l, bla, g plus l, gla, sh plus l, shla. The sh uses that alternate form here again as the top loop. One special stacking situation is th plus th, the double dental, where the first stacked th turns into just a horizontal line instead of a full th. Right there. Right? Retroflex will also stack. So t plus t is t. You got the t over the t. T plus t, t over the t. T. You also get shta or shta with the retroflex sibilant. Now let's look at a third set of situations which involve the letter r, the rakara. If r comes as the first member of your conjunct, if it's C1, then it's going to turn into a curl that goes on top of the next character, the C2. So here's an example where you have r plus p, rpa, r plus w, rwa, r plus ch, rcha, r plus g, rga. Right? This r will attach to the right of any matra vowels. If you have a long e or o, it'll attach even to the right of that added vertical bar. So here, for example, rpi looks like this. Rpo would look like this. Rpau would look like this. When the r comes as the second member of a cluster, then it's going to become a slash towards the bottom of the main vertical line of that consonant, going towards the left. It's very important, to the left. So kra, pra, sra, dra. Here's an important case, shra. It's important to remember. It's the very important sacred syllable shri is there. Here you'll notice that the sh uses its alternate form, and you have the ra flopping over to the left. In the case of rounded letters that don't have a vertical line from which that r can pop off, the r turns into a kind of little hat below the letter, like in chra or dra or tra or dra. One unusual situation is the consonant cluster t plus r, the dental t plus r, where the t sometimes just turns into a line, so that it looks like a little wedge, basically, that's attached to our vertical bar, like this. You just kind of have to learn to remember that. That's tra. So that covers most of the situations in which clusters, in which these conjuncts are formed. So first, either you have the first consonant turning into a half letter. Second, you have the letters are stacked on top of each other. Or in the case of ra, it goes on top or down below. Other oddities will also pop up as we continue our study of Sanskrit, but for now you should mostly focus on nailing down first the independent vowels, independent consonants, the matra forms of the vowels. You should get those down 100%. And then finally, as we learn more and more vocabulary, when you encounter these conjunct consonants, then you practice and internalize what they look like and how they appear. It'll be a challenge at first to remember everything. I'm not expecting you, no one expects you to remember everything, but if you keep at it, if you keep reviewing, if you keep practicing the vowels and consonants just a little bit every day, then there's no question that 2 weeks from now, you'll be able to read words without any problem, without any difficulty. And then you'll just get faster and faster from there as you get more and more confidence in your study of this language of the gods. So thank you for watching. Good luck in your studies of Devanāgarī and in Sanskrit. We'll see you next time when we now take on the next great challenge, this phenomenon that we call Sandhi. So till then, Dhanyavadaha Punarmilamaha.